4 regulatory questions for external asset managers back in the office. 2,200 asset managers and trustees are expected to file for a FEMA license for the first time. This is a consequence of the Federal Act on Financial Institutions. For them, preserving their independence in a more regulated environment will be a challenge, but there is room for pragmatic and proportionate solutions. Most of the asset managers have until 2023 to file their FEMA application, so no need to rush. Many of our clients are waiting to see what the industry standards in terms of organization and contractual documentation will be. This is a perfectly reasonable course of action. Indeed, 60% of the licensed candidates have indicated to FEMA they will not move until the end of 2022. Only 10% said they plan to do something this year. Some asset managers have started to adapt their client documentation to the new Financial Services Act. One supervisory body called this implementation step the big repapering. The aim is to secure a clean audit track record, especially in terms of AML. This will be important to speed up the process with FEMA. Many of the rules have been written under the assumption they could also apply to a one-man enterprise. There are facilitations in the law. You should spot them and use them. I would say that the overall philosophy should be as safe as required, but as lean as possible.
We heard from Errol that portfolio managers are the financial intermediaries that are most affected by the new regulation. But what does the new regulation mean for financial institutes that are already regulated? Existing financial institutes, such as securities firms, fund management companies, and managers of collective assets, are subject to the Financial Institutions Act and need to implement the required changes until the end of this year. These changes are in general not so extensive, as most of the respective provisions have been transferred from other laws with no or only minor changes. The Financial Services Act, which applies to financial services providers, requires more efforts to implement, but offers in general a 2-year transition period, which expires at the end of next year. However, it has to be borne in mind that certain provisions of the Financial Services Act are not covered by the transition period of 2 years and therefore are applicable since the beginning of this year. Within the next 6 months, financial institutes and financial services providers need to affiliate with an ombudsman office and, if applicable, register their concerned staff in the client advisor register. We see in particular the bigger financial institutes are already quite far advanced with their projects. Smaller financial institutes and financial services providers, however, have just or not even started with the implementation. To summarize, the 2 new laws, the Financial Institutions Act and the Financial Services Act, provide for various transition periods, of which the first are already ending within the next months. In order to ensure a timely and efficient implementation, we therefore recommend the proper planning of the required steps and to start implementation timely.